Welcome to the Church Solutions Podcast, brought to you by JSL Solutions. The Church Solutions Podcast is designed to help equip you and your church in the use of technology and other tools and services. And now, here are your hosts, Steve Lacy and Phil Thompson.
Hi there, and welcome to another edition of the Church Solutions Podcast. And who's with me today?
Hi, I'm Steve Lacy.
You have that memorized, don't you?
I do. I can do that just about every time.
I'm going to do something different just to throw you off. I'm Phil Thompson. Did I already say that?
I don't know.
I'm off track myself. So we're a company called JSL Solutions. We do Church Solutions Podcast just about every week. We are actually a tech company, and we work with churches and ministries. And we do, what do we do, Steve? Quickly.
We provide four main products, which is StreamingChurch.tv, which is live streaming, Church App Live mobile app. My flock is church management and websites, and our newest entree is Greeter.church, a real-life greeter for your church website.
All right. So Google search all those, and you'll find us. Or we can give you the websites later. All right. So we work with churches, and Steve and I, in fact, probably everybody in our company actually involved is, part of a local church, and we really have a heart for churches and ministries, and we have lots of experience. I don't mind blowing our own horn. We've been around churches for a long time in leadership positions and all that good stuff. And so we like to help churches. And that's one of the reasons we do this podcast.
Yep, that's true.
And a lot of times we talk a lot about, obviously, tech stuff because we are a tech company, but we also talk about leadership things and other topics that revolve around church and ministry that can hopefully help you as a volunteer, a leader, as a staff person, a senior pastor, hopefully help you, do your job better.
Right. So today we're talking about a formula for organizing your church communications.
Yeah, so it is 2017 here. It's the second week of 2017, and I thought it would be good if we talk a little bit about a communication plan for the new year, because the reality is most churches are better at planning than promoting. And so we generally put a lot of energy. Our focus is usually, okay, we're going to create this event or these events during the year. And we do all that, but then we kind of let it kind of goes by the wayside as far as inviting people and connecting with people and communicating these events to the people. Mm-hmm. And so what we're doing is we're kind of hurting ourselves, put a lot of thought into these things, but yet, we're not really good at
getting the word out effectively. And so we're going to talk about some simple things that you and I can do to increase attendance and hopefully connect with our community, our church community, as well as the community at large. All right. So this is a little formula for how to do some church communications, right?
Yeah, exactly. And before we get into like some things here, there's probably about, what did I put down here? 5 things or whatever. But before we do that, there's something that you and I use, our company uses, and it's called asana. It's you call it asana. But it's asana, right?
Yeah, I think you did the research on that, and it's most people probably pronounce it asana, but I guess the American version, but it's actually a Japanese word, right?
Yeah, asana.
So you're supposed to say asana.
Asana.
Yes.
And so I went out of my way to prove you wrong, but it looks like you said, most people call it asana. So anyhow, it's spelled A-S-A-N-A.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, and it's a great software for planning tasks and also including other team members. So there's other software out there, there's other tools out there, and we could talk about that, but we're not. But we're just going to throw this out just to begin, and that is when you're planning things, Asana is a really nice little planning tool,
right? And
you can use.
What I like about it. I think it really would apply to a lot of different churches. It's not something you're going to want to run a 100 and 200 and 300 employee company with. But if you've got, actually it's free for less than 30 employees or members in your group.
So it's really good for that size, 30 and under employees. If you got 10 people on staff or even more than that, it's a great tool to manage what's going on, and people can see what's happening.
Yeah, so that would be the very first thing, it would be just, look into Asana, and just, you can just Google it, ASANA.
Yeah, and it's free.
It's free.
For up to 30 people.
Yeah, and we like it. We really do like it.
Yeah, we use it at our company.
Yeah, it's a good little thing. All right, so that would, you want to definitely have some kind of a software planner to help you, but here are some steps that you could look at when it comes to communicating, some formula, as you said, or some steps you could use to really make your event successful.
All right. So it all starts in advance, or starts the day before the event, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, a couple days before. All right.
No, it actually starts many weeks before,
exactly.
Right? So this is kind of a formula of what approaches to take at what time.
Yeah. All right. So as most people have heard this stat already, and I think it's pretty much true, statistically, people need to hear about something roughly 7 times. 3 to 7 times before they respond. And I think if you've done any evangelistic training, that's a stat that a lot of people throw out. And people need to hear the gospel 7 times before they respond.
Yeah, and I could see that. I was just over this Christmas break telling my kids about a commercial that I'd watched I don't know how many times. And all of a sudden it started to sink in what they were telling me. I was like,
took a while.
Whoa, that's a really good thing. I should.
Right.
Yeah.
So people need to hear things multiple times before they respond, and in this stat, it's about 3 to 7 times. And the typical churchgoer, most churchgoers only attend 2 or 3 times a month. Just depends on what church it is and what your group is. And so we've got to maximize the number of times we announce opportunities without wearing people down. So the idea here is to not just share the when, the where, or the how, which is what we're usually pretty good at, but we've got to take some time out to let people know how participating will affect their lives.
Right.
And if they come to this event, how are they going to be impacted? So that's really important.
Right. And we're talking, the heading for this little section was the verbal communication, right?
Yeah. So that would be step 1, verbal communication.
Verbal communication starting, we have, 5 weeks before the event?
5 weeks is a good round number to start out. And as you're communicating this, remember, communicate not just a how, when, and where, or whatever, but how it's going to be effective, or how their lives are going to be affected in this event, and how it's going to impact them. So again, it's not just to inform people, but you want to inspire them, and that's really what it comes down to. Because the bottom line is, if they see the importance, they're going to become an advocate for you, and they'll be more likely to invite somebody else to the event.
That is true.
All
right. So 5 weeks before, start talking about it, and then you're gonna, I guess, you're going to repeat it enough that they have heard it a few times, right, over those 5 weeks.
And realize how it's impacted, how inspirationally it can be a good thing for them to go.
All right. We ready for our next tip?
I'm ready.
So the next is how to use print and when to start using print.
All right, so you're verbally communicating first. The second one is actually printing this stuff out, printing it on different publications. And again, the idea here is probably 4, maybe 5 weeks before the event.
Mm-hmm.
So as we know, you got to be careful, because if you do it too early, people tend to forget about it. If you do it too late, they've already made plans.
All right.
So we would encourage you to start talking about the event or events or the opportunities. Probably put those in your program, your bulletin, 4 to 5 weeks before your event. Let people know the details. And then, another good way to do this, to make it easy, would be to maybe print out some flyers that you could give to people to invite their friends, or maybe some cards. A lot of times these little business cards, you can get these really, you can go to we use Vista Print. I don't know if does our company still use Vista?
We haven't used it in a while.
But at my church, I use Vista Print. And it's relatively inexpensive. You can get some good deals at times. So you can print something on a business card with Vistaprint and get it within a week or so, and then hand it out to people.
Right. And another key to this is to combine, you've started talking about it 4 or 5 weeks in advance, and then now they start to see a postcard on it 4 weeks, before.
A postcard, is another thing. That can be a good thing. Snail, I call it snail mail, but snail mail is still very effective. And the other thing too here,
it can be a little more expensive, but
yeah, it can be. Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, it certainly can be. And then the other thing too would be, let's just move on here. So, program some flyers, some little size business cards that have the event time on it, and maybe a postcard, a well done postcard to your church family. Those kind of things would be good.
All right, so number 3 on our list is the web.
The World Wide Web, the WWW. When I was in broadcasting school, actually, when I was teaching broadcasting school, somebody corrected me and said, it's WWW, not WW. I always called it WW. But yeah, it's the World Wide Web. You should start about 4 weeks or so, again, before the event.
Right. And so this is your church website, and we're going to get into some of the other, web-related things as well. But this would be primarily your church website and that sort of thing.
Yeah. The church website is good. That's where most people come. If they're looking at your church, they're going to go, as we've said over and over again, they're going to look at your website first. And so, it's good to have it on there somewhere. Maybe if you have what do we call those things? Sliders that everybody says not to use anymore. Sliders could be a place to put it, somewhere where it's noticeable to people. Just give people a good opportunity. And you should start this about 4 weeks before. So the first one's verbal, about 5 weeks out. Second one's printing stuff, about 4 weeks out. The web can be about 4 weeks out as well.
Mm-hmm. All right. So then our next step, we ready to move on to that?
We are.
So that was number 3. Number 4 would be email. And when should I start emailing on my event?
Probably 2 or 3 weeks before the event. Again, depending on the day of the event, you want to plan maybe to have several emails over the course of 2 or 3 weeks.
Right.
This is, again, a great way to, repurpose what you've already done in the past with the print and everything. Again, we've got to always remember that, we're in a society today that everybody's lives are just crazy busy. And so you want to be able to send your email in the sense that it's got the important details in it. You set the tone for what to expect, and you want to let them know about why attending is so important. And I can't emphasize that enough. Why it's important for them to come.
What's the impact on their lives, rather than just an informational message.
Yeah, right? And then you're looking at encouraging them again to bring somebody with them, bring a friend. And as we've said in the past, leave them wanting more. So you want to deliver several emails for people that they want to read, maybe a little bit of different information each time, to something that will, help them.
Something nice and short, right?
Yeah, short and sweet, but yet gives them, what they need to know as far as that goes. So very important to do that.
All right. So our number 5, fifth point.
Number 5, the 5th point when it comes to how to really, improve your communication, your church communication. The 5th one is social media.
Yes. And when do we start that?
There's that word again.
So I have this event coming up, and when do I start?
Probably 2 to 3 weeks ahead, depending on, hopefully you have a feel for your people, but probably a minimum of 2 weeks before. So again, it's a great way to spread the excitement of what's going on. And you do want to you don't want to be fake about it, but you want to, hopefully you've got an event that's exciting. Mm-hmm. It should be. And so, you want to let people get a feel for that. You want to minimize the post about the when, where, and how, but instead you want to build the excitement. And here's another good point: visual stuff out there, visual post. Are really good to use because, as we know, majority of people learn things through visual what's the word? Visual stimulation? I don't know, but it's visual that really helps people get a grasp on things. So, these are things you can do a little more with when it comes to social media, Twitter, Google Plus.
It's common, we are in business, and they encourage that you're going to get better response on through social media if you have an image or a video or something like that, as opposed to just a direct text post.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's proven now over and over again. So Facebook, Twitter, I mentioned Google Plus. Is Google Plus even around anymore?
Google Plus is still around.
Still around. You're probably one of the few people that use Google Plus.
They kind of made a shift recently. They kind of, were initially in the, I'm going to compete with Facebook, and now they're kind of fit in a spot between kind of LinkedIn and Facebook, where it's more interest-based, and maybe a Pinterest kind of a feel.
Yeah, really.
So you subscribe to different things you may be interested in, and you don't get a lot of friends posting because not a lot of people are using it, but you get a lot of interesting stuff.
Yeah, I quit posting on there usually. I mean, I think StreamingChurch.tv has a deal there. But all right, so getting back to our point here, social media, images would really be good. And you know what? You can create some images for your event really easy. You can get, there's free images out there. There's images you can get for a small fee, and you can use Adobe. What do we got? We got the editor,
Photoshop,
whatever it's called, Photoshop. I don't know. There's just so many things out there. I mean, there's even something as archaic as Paint. Microsoft has Paint.
Yeah, or
which
I use. To get images would be to have a camera and take some images.
Well, you could do that too. But what I'm getting at is, if you want to do this, if you're overworked and underpaid, you could certainly grab some images that might be related to your event, or somehow, similar to what you're trying to do, and you could create something with Paint or Photoshop or something, or what's the other one, GIMP, that's out there that's free. Yes. You can do a lot of stuff there, and within a relatively short amount of time, you can have something that looks fairly decent, catch people's attention, and then, communicates what you're trying to do, maybe put a link in there that people can get for expanded information. Those are good things to do. And again, with social media, you can always encourage your followers to share their post, share this post with somebody, share the content, on their Facebook page, on their Twitter account, on their Pinterest or whatever. All that stuff I think is really good stuff when it comes to, again, trying to communicate your event.
All right, so we're down to our sixth and last item here.
We are. We're making good time here. So the sixth one is text messages and or push notifications. So push notifications, of course, we have a mobile app that we have for churches called churchapplive.com. Shameless plug. You can use churchapplive.com for push notifications. We have a church management deal, myflock.com. You can send text messages.
Yes.
And of course, there's other tools out there.
And I've noticed that a lot of the churches, they'll do, we suggest this 2 weeks or less prior to the event. For the push notifications, they'll do a day of or the hour before or that sort of thing, especially if it's an online event, which a lot of our churches have. Yeah. They'll say, Wednesday evening funeral service, or no, maybe not that, but whatever it may be.
Right. Yeah. They probably
you don't want to invite people to a funeral service.
Yeah, probably not. But you never know. But yeah, I think that I think you've got to be a little careful here that you don't overdo it. I mean, at least I don't want to get a bunch of push notifications, a bunch of text messages. But I think it's a good tool. It gives you the opportunity to kind of message them directly.
Right. And you always want to allow them an opportunity to opt out if they don't want to receive text messages.
So these little things, so like email, you want to keep the messages short. These text messages, push the notifications, keep them short. Send them to people, send people to your website for more information, or your social media area, or some way to register. And I think if you do that and you come up with a systematic plan, in other words, if you do what we just talked about here, these actually 6 steps, if you do them consistently for every event.
You could, and if it was up to me, I'd lay them out in Asana and say, at the 6-week mark, I'm going to do this, 5-week mark, I'm going to do this, and then I'm, lay them all out, assign them to people, and make it happen.
Yeah, and as we said at the very beginning, Asana is not the only tool. I mean, you can put this in your Google Calendar to do it, or you could use something else if you want to use a grease board or use one of those deals you put on the wall with the maps or the calendars and all that stuff spread across. You could do that. But the idea here is to get it planned out for the whole year, and then go through this little process we just talked about, and we guarantee it that you'll have better response from your events if you follow us word for word. Maybe we won't guarantee it, but we think that it will help you a lot. So there you have it. So did we cover anything techie in that thing?
Not really.
Yeah, social media and websites. So you could even do some more things. You could do it with today, and we didn't put this in the notes, but you can stream live with Twitter, you can stream live with Facebook Messenger, all that stuff. So you could even promote what you're doing with a short little video that you could do live, and then it's saved in an archive form later. And so you could even, a senior pastor or a key person there could do a quick little live Facebook deal. And then it's there.
Or I guess the inventor of some of this was Periscope, or what's the other one called? But anyway, they're kind of falling to the wayside now that Facebook has their live video.
Yeah, I think I deleted my Periscope app.
Oh yeah,
I think I did. But
I've seen pastors use it effectively, where they'll go and do some live broadcast. Yeah. Just about something coming up, and
even YouTube. I mean, you could do YouTube. I mean, I used to work with Jeff, and we would do YouTube.
Yeah, and send that out.
And you could send that out, and it's just a short little video. And with the Facebook Live and the Twitter Live and all that, it's live. But the nice thing about it is, it's it will stay on the page as an archive, so people can see it. And so those are really nice little tools you can use to promote what you're doing. Because honestly, as we said at the very beginning, you're putting a lot of time and energy in planning this thing, as far as putting it together, making it work. You've spent some time with hopefully your team, and you got this great event. But if you don't get the word out effectively, then you don't get the response that you want to get. So
makes sense.
There you go. Okay. If you have any questions about this, or you have something to add, or you just think we're totally out to lunch, which a lot of people do think we're out to lunch, just send us an email, support@StreamingChurch.tv. You can hear this podcast on iTunes. Where else can you get the podcast?
Anywhere you can find your better podcasts. So
any quality podcast. Yes. We're there.
Yes, so Stitcher Radio, any podcast player that you have, search their library, will be in there as well. Okay. So, yeah,
we're there. We're available.
iTunes. Yeah. Did we mention iTunes?
We did mention iTunes, yeah. But okay, good. So thanks for spending a little time with us today, folks. We sure appreciate you, and hopefully Steve and I can continue to encourage you and help you, and maybe share some things that maybe you haven't thought of before, or perhaps you have thought of and just haven't done. Maybe this will help you a little bit, because we want you to have a successful 2017, and we hope you will. All right, so we are done. So he's Steve Lacy. I'm Phil Thompson. This is the Church Solutions Podcast. We hope that you have a great day, and we will catch you next time. Take care.